Welcome everyone to yet another Diplo Deity victory game with me here, Adrenaline. We are playing on the usual settings. We're playing on Tech and Civic Shuffle, as you can see. We've already started a fair bit, because this is turn 75 or so. We are playing with, Monopolies Corporations. We are playing on, or are we playing on Monopolies Corporations? I'm not sure about that one. But Disaster Level 4, Shuffle Map, all that sort of stuff. And we have ourselves a bit of an empire, but not too great. Like, we're a little contested for land. There's obviously the Inca to the north. We've already found 4 people. Saladin, Pachacudi, Hojotokomune, and Dido. And yeah, we're building our walls to try and get those Renaissance points eventually. Do we have monarchy? No, we don't have it yet. But we will be obviously aiming for that, because that is what you do in a Diplo game. And, hopefully we can find more people, because one of the best things about to when you play a Diplo game, not about Diplo games, but like in order to play one, is to explore. Maybe get a galley, maybe sail up, although obviously we're being hounded by these barbarian units, which might need a defense ship in its own right. But, eventually, hopefully, kind of explore up our way and try to find everybody else. Because what you don't want, that happens sometimes regardless, is aid requests missed out on. You want to take advantage of whatever aid requests may come your way. And, you don't want to not know everybody before that happens. Because, of course, if you don't know them, you can't participate. So, yeah. We have our religion. It's all good and well. It's all sorted out. This is my typical build for a diplomatic game specifically because, you want production for the projects, the World's Fair and all the other projects. The World's Fair is the one that's most hotly contested. It's usually easier to get the sport and games one or any of the other ones. But, Pagoda for the diplomatic favor, Holy Order, in case I need it for the apostles. It's nice to have your own religion. That supports with tithe, to get more money in so you can then send it to more people. It all kind of synergetic works together to try and make sure that you have a healthy economy in order to support these projects that you want to be doing. We have ourselves a couple of governors. We have Liang, we have Magnus. And let's see how it goes. Okay, as this is the first time that we have played with Seondeok, I hope that's how you pronounce it. Let's look at our kit, shall we? And let's also consider Sejong. Now, it's been a while since I did the Sejong game in science. With the one I remember it fairly well. We were pretty hounded for territory. There was Lautaro over to the east, and we were huddled up in the north, and we needed to find enough places to put our specialist campus on hills, even though there wasn't that many hillish terrain. Anyway, interesting game. I highly recommend you go watch that. It's in the VODs. But she's obviously a little bit different, right? So let's have a look at her. Hwarang. Oh, is this Tekken? Governors established in a city provide plus 3% culture and science for each promotion they have earned, including their first. That is very nice. Now, I wonder, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to focus on individual governors, though, does it? But I wonder, if you were to get a Monty, say. No, you can't. Is it? No. You can't put a Monty in another Civ's city. Although maybe, depending on what the city state is producing, maybe it's better than you. I'm just wondering how you could potentially break this. It almost certainly means that you want a governor in your cap at all times, but that's usually the case in most games anyway. I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe depending on which cities that you've already built campuses and your highest campus and your highest theater square, that's where you make sure your governors are, right? To get the most out of it. It's an interesting one. I like it. I'm not sure how much 3% goes, especially early in the game. But, hey, a modifier is a modifier, so it probably has some merit. 3 kingdoms. Mines receive +1 science for every adjacent Seowan district. And farms receive +1 food for every Seowan district. I think that's the same with Sejong. Which is a nice, bonus given that you don't want to build district next to Seowan because of how it works with its adjacency, which is an anti-adjacency, if anything. Hwacho, which is their specialist military unit, unique Renaissance era unit that replaces the field cannon, high ranged attack strength, whatever that means. It's weird how some of them are valued and some of them are not. Is it because these are earlier? I don't know. Maybe they only later decided to specify what the numbers were. Cannot move and attack in the same turn. I think field cannon can move and attack in the same attack in the same turn, can't they? It's the bombards and maybe the catapults, which evolve Pokemon term. Go into upgrade. That's it. Upgrade into the bombard that you usually can't for most cultures. Anyway, if it's worth the damage, then it's probably worth the cost. And this end the Seowan. You know me, I've always kind of disputed how good this actually is. I find that it's not too difficult to get +4 adjacency with a little careful planning with most cities, with the help of a +2 if it's in the center of a big triangle, adjacent to either a couple of mountains or adjacent to a geyser, you already got it. And then there's some cases where, because this can only be put on hills, I've definitely had it before, there's a flatland in and around a nice group of mountains. You would love to put it there. Maybe it's a +5 or even a +6. I've had that occasionally. But you can't because you have to put it on hill terrain. This is a trap, I find, generally. It's probably still okay, but I wouldn't just trade it as, oh, Korea are better than everybody else in science because look at this. And anyway, I would even argue whether that adjacency is the strongest element of a science game anyway. I mean, like I said, I think Montezuma is the strongest science, civ, and that's got nothing to do with what adjacency he has, even though you obviously want some adjacency. It's much more to do with the ability to build spaceports in 5 turns. That is nuts. And then you just immediately start your projects and get to endgame. That arguably more important. I don't know. It depends, because obviously you do need the boosts, but again, when it comes to that point, you're relying on your spy network. So maybe you could argue someone like Wu Zetian or Catherine de Medici, the spy specialist civs, are better as well in science, because again, spies are so important for science, particularly. So, an interesting one to think about. So, mid-game already, we are turn 124 now, and we are looking at 12 points of diplomatic points. And they have been attained with 6 points of wonders, techs, and civics, as well as 6 Congress participation, which means that we basically have got maximum from Congress participation so far, which is a fortunate thing to have. And we are sitting pretty with a Statue of Liberty, as well as the Mahabodhi Temple, and a couple of wonders too. That is putting us in a prime position to try and take control of the next Congress. Now, we are generating 22 diplomatic favor per turn. We have another 8 turns, so that's what? 166? Or 76? 176. 176 more diplomatic favor, well over 400. Nobody else really can challenge that. So hopefully with a good Congress and relatively easy-ish things to, vote over, not like what luxury people want to ban from amenities and whatnot. There are some that are much easier than others, like production, gold, or faith. What do you want to reduce on unit production? What kind of unit do you want to upgrade? And even some in the middle of the road, like, what kind of cultural great work do you want boosted in tourism or whatever, like something that's relatively straightforward. We should be able to get our 5 extra points and put ourselves right in line to win this game. Current Congress have just had a aid request passed from Montezuma. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that we were able to succeed on that, because like we saw, we didn't get any points from, or did we? Is that part of the 6? No. So we didn't get anything from that. But you know, maybe we didn't want to, because then we'd be sitting on 14 points, and that would be above the threshold that I always suggest that you stay under, 13 or less, so that you can go into a Congress safely. That's probably why we did that. Welcome back. You just rejoined us after we made a fantastic full marks Congress and now sit ready to victory with 17 out of 20 diplomatic points already accrued. We are also going to try and win this World's Fair to help get that even closer to victory. But let's take a little bit deeper look into the Congress itself as how we were able to achieve such great scores. So the questions were as follows: sovereignty, urban development treaty, and of course the diplomatic victory. It comes into play mid to late game. The first one is a bit of a toss-up. It can pretty much be anything at any time. There's no real clear indicator of one way or another. But if you have enough diplomatic points, you can pretty much certify that you're going to be able to get there. Anyway, so we just went religious and it worked out. And then also the Urban Development Treaty. This one is almost always either city center, especially early game, and then possibly also campus. This one's a little later in the game, so I hedged for campus, and sure enough, you can see a few other people went for campus as well. Actually, a couple other ones went for some other random stuff, but none of them really were as consolidated as 3 choices for campus with our 4. So we didn't need to really put too much into that, because it was expected that that would be the likely outcome. And of course, because we have so much gain of 20 plus diplomatic favor per turn, we were able to just outmuscle everybody else in vote. They did try, some went for 10s, some definitely tried to go as hard as they could. This one actually hates us, so they very much tried to go against us. But if anything, that was beneficial for us, because the vote for A would count before any specific outcome. And for him to go against with the same amount of diplomatic favor as we did means that he can't just beat us by, if he went for himself on A, it would be a toss-up whether the game would give it to us or them. I'm not entirely sure how it would work in that sense, but far more concerning than them going this way. This actually certified that we would win out overall. And on top of that, we have indeed met everybody. Of course, Robert the Bruce isn't particularly happy with us. And of course, the reason why that is because last time when you saw us, we were on turn 124, we hadn't found him yet. This is the last guy we found. He hates us simply because when it's this late into the game, this is -20. And what is this -20? Well, of course, it's different governments. And that's almost certainly because in this late stage of the game, as you can see, he's democracy, he's a tertiary government. They tend to try and go to the maximum level government whenever and wherever possible without considering specific win cons. They're not a human being. They don't have that kind of preset built-in way of thinking. So, yeah, it's looking real good. We could probably take the game in about 20 to 30 turns, depending on whether we can get any more aid requests. But in the next couple of cycles, we should be good. Well, the World's Fair, harsh, but fair, as we do not get ourselves anywhere close to getting over the line in this one. We are over 2,000 points behind, and quite frankly, it is quite staggering and unusual to see any AI civ be this high. And look how much more Hojo Tokumune is over even the nearest rival, Montezuma. Over 1,000 points. So I don't even know if we even invested all our cities, which are currently building factories and whatnot, into this particular competition, whether we could win it. Even still, that is an absurd score. You're hoping that maybe the best AI gets no more than just over 2,000 or something like this. Not almost free. That is remarkable. But, each game is to their own, and that's why you have to kind of sway the tide, kind of react to what's going on. Every game is different. That's what's the replayability, I guess, in some respects, to this game, is that you can always have weird, anomalous results happening from nowhere. And so even though we were nowhere near, I'm not too bothered about losing that when it was such a hard race to win any. And then also on the other side, we are quite comfortable, to be honest. It's turn 146. That's quite late into certain games, especially when you consider the science threat only coming from, of course, that man Monty, because he is, as I say, the best science civ. Even the AI seems to know that. what a surprise. The first step, the spaceport step, and Monty's already nearly there. So, nowhere near to completion yet. This part is sometimes less, but often 25 turns additionally, and they're nowhere near that. So who knows how long this game could go if we don't win it before then. But I expect that we will get over the line sooner rather than later. Well, here it is, everybody. Turn 168, which is a middling kind of game, but not necessarily a late one. And we are about to usurp our friend Dido and Philip here with a whopping 10,000 gold. Let's go do that. We could obviously do it that way. Or we could just say, hey, how about another number? And just do that. There it is. And with that, you won't see it immediately because they don't update immediately. But next turn, it says ends this turn, it's fine. It actually ends in 2 turns from now. Because the end turn is not the actual end turn. Again, I always talk about this, usually in Diplo games, where they occur most frequently. I really hope they fix this. When they say something ends, it should end, not another turn. Because you can get scuppered by this and become very frustrating when you do. Anyway, off to victory. There's a trader I don't care about. Okay, so as you can see, the game hasn't ended yet, and that's because I win is still in progress. There's no way they can catch us. But you might see a little slight deviation in their numbers that they've contributed, even from now till next turn. But let's pass the turn once more. And we'll probably see the victory screen light up as the next turn comes into play.
From your earliest desire to live in peace, to the times when you stood against aggression, you have always sought cooperation. You did not do this merely to brighten your own glory, but because dignity belongs to each of us. And in so doing, you have proved that your ancient and eternal commitment to a shared peace will be the foundation of the world of tomorrow.
And there it is, Diplo down with Seondeok of Korea. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you want to see more later on. And I'll see you then.